Holy shit. Surf's up, motherfuckers. Yeah, I'm stealing that from somebody else, and probably will not steal that one in the future. But we are live. We are live. We are talking about many, many things. We're going to be talking about Kamala Harris's wins this week. There's so many fucking wins. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So many are self-inflicted by Trump, obviously, by J.D. Vance, who lied his way through the debate the other night. But there have been a couple of other big moments, too. Yeah, we're going to try to share those with you. So I am just working on the technological aspects of this right now. I am new to all of this, folks. Hey, I've got the comments. That's a start. Talk about Pete Rose. Somebody wants me to talk about Pete Rose. Okay. Quick Pete Rose beforehand. I was a baseball fan. I grew up on Pete Rose. I was a New Yorker, not a huge Reds fan back at the time. I was pretty young in the 70s, like single digits. Complicated legacy. A guy who played the game the way it should have been played, but had a lot of bad shit going on off the field. So that one's a tougher one. He meant a lot to this city. Cincinnati has gone through some tough times. I have a father-in-law who was at the big game. We broke Ty Cobb's record, and Ty Cobb was kind of an asshole. So yeah, we'll say that. But I don't think this whole thing is supposed to be about baseball, though I could do it. So I think we're going to talk a little bit more about why Donald Trump is the whiny little titty baby, wussy, wimpy, pathetic, smelly, stupid, stinky, and we could go on. And why he's sort of circling the drain. It's kind of perfect that he's crashing right as Kamala Harris is shooting through to the moon, right? I don't want to go too much. I think I see my friend Tony Michaels. I'm going to add his ass to the stage.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Tony? I feel like I've seen you recently.
Yeah. So did it all work? Did everything?
I mean, I'm fucking here. I don't
That's
know.
great.
Work,
That's great. Yeah, everything's cool.
Yeah.
You got
did it work? Or
so.
am I a total asshole? That's the first comment I'm putting in there. And that's a question for the commenters. They can respond to that. Yeah, it's working. I think the light's better. I think everything's better here.
That's great. It looks like we got almost 500 people in here, so that's fantastic.
Thank you. Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for hanging around, guys. And I promoted it out there a bit. Listen, I did go into Pete Rose because I'm a big baseball fan, and apparently some of these folks know it. In fact, if you look up behind me, they catch a glimpse of a few people. Maybe I'll start giving out prizes if you can look up above, say my left shoulder up that way. There's a certain baseball player who's on the Yankees. He's pretty good, and maybe the first person to throw it in the comments. Again, I'll send a free hat your way. How about that? Cliff's Edge hat. We got to show merch off. Haven't done that yet.
Sure.
But I do want to get to the point of why I am here, and that really is, and I'm going to try to keep watch of these wonderful comments while we're doing this, but we're mostly here to point out why Trump has sucked even more this week and why Kamala has won even more. Now, on Tony's show, we talked a bit. The Jeff Flake endorsement was big because he does, even if Mitt Romney wants to continue being a dumb little wuss and saying, Trump's going to come get me, but I don't think I should endorse. Jeff Flake has a high up position in the Mormon church. Mormons are a key population breaking away from Republicans. And guess what? A lot of them live in Arizona. They are disproportionately, I read there are 500,000 Mormon voters that may be overdone. So in a close election, this could be huge. That's one thing that happened. And now there's sort of a bit of a cascade going along with that. We'll see if anybody else joins. Second big thing is, no, J.D. Vance did not actually fuck a sofa on stage, though I hear he did backstage. There's a particularly cute love seat that I heard he whispered some sweet nothings to before a quick pump, and he was out on the stage, and that's why he was so relaxed. You're all wondering, like, why did J.D. Vance seem like, everything was okay? And, I mean, if you provide him with the proper furniture ahead of time for the release that he needs, if you want to go in the opposite direction, you just order fucking Dunkin' Donuts and let him try to pick those out.
Are you saying he was able to couch his aggressions? Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God!
Is that what you're saying?
So well done.
That's what you're saying.
So well done. I'm
the best at it.
Yes.
I'm the best at it. I don't mean to pat myself on the
best,
back
man.
or anything, but I am the best at it.
You don't break your arm when doing that.
I know. Well, you know what? My before you move on to the next reason why Kamala won this week, because I know I'm only here with you for a few minutes. Is
no, you're not. Fuck you. You're here not the whole time, but you're staying at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, I'll stay for a bit.
Bitch, I come on your show every week.
That's right. That's right. But here's what I'll say about JD Vance's demeanor at the debate. Here's how I took it. JD Vance, and as you know this, U.S. senators and Congress people give a lot of speeches on the floor of their chamber, and a lot of them are political speeches. Some of them are procedural speeches that they give, but a lot of them are political speeches that they give because they have that bully pulpit that they can use in that moment on the floor of the House or the Senate. So I took it as JD Vance was using his Senate floor voice. That's the way I took it. That's the way they trained him.
I think that's actually a really smart way of looking at it. I think. I read something where he was trying to be Minnesota nice. I think he thought Walz would come out and take some jabs at him, but be this nice, likable guy. And he knew the contrast was already there in that last debate between a smiling, intelligent person and a fat fucking, air balloon floating around the Thanksgiving Macy's parade, crashing into the buildings. And upsetting all of the bystanders. If not, do you think
the JD Vance Macy's Day Parade balloon is him, like George Costanza on a couch? Is that? Do you think that's what? Do you think that's what it is?
Dude,
I'm just wondering.
We could figure out a way to hack that thing and have I mean, obviously it's after the election, but it would still be so much fun. Right. Like a JD Vance balloon out there, and it would be attached to Trump's ass. Right away, the mouth will be attached to Trump's ass, and you probably would have to add in some key items. Like in one hand, he'd have like a Diet Mountain Dew, and in the other hand, he'd be holding up a sign saying, "Yes,
what are
I want
donuts?
You to all,
what are donuts?
Want donuts." And then between his legs, he probably would have a sign that would say, go victimize every Haitian you can find.
Right.
Which, by the way, that's a more serious point that I'm going to get to, too. That will be a part of, I don't have a special rant segment, but the fact that Donald Trump came out again today and said that if he won, he would make them all illegal and deport them. Maybe we should just get into that now. We can get to the second part. How about fuck you, let's deport Melania in her $250,000 speeches. She didn't come here legally. She came here, she did her... I wanted to show that I did art. I did the art. It was very important to me to do art. That's why I did naked pictures with other women in lesbianic poses, because much like Van Gogh, if you were to see Chagall's...
I gotta say, I like your impersonation of Melania. Now, it is almost as bad as my impersonation of Trump. That may be why I like it so much. But
well, there you go.
Don't stop doing it. Did you see in her book? Speaking of Melania, did you see in her book that her ghostwriter, because she didn't write that pile of shit, her ghostwriter slipped in that she's pro-choice?
I think Michelle Obama.
But didn't you see where she slipped in? No pun intended. That she's pro-choice. Did you see that?
That has been, just so folks know, this has been a long Republican trick done by Barbara Bush. Thank you, Mr. WW, on the $7.77. Thank you for your shout out. You're fucking awesome. And I may have missed a few others. I promise you all, as I start doing this more, I'm going to get better at this and I will pay more attention. And then, I'm just fuck Tony. I'm going to surpass his ass. Like, I'm just going to start doing these. Maybe every hour. I may just start doing like Ed TV or some shit where I'm on all the time.
Right.
But no, seriously, thank you very much for the donation. That's really appreciated. But
back to Melania.
I saw that. This has been a long time thing. Laura Bush snuck that into her book, or I believe she spoke out loud about it. Barbara Bush, and she really was pro-choice because so was George H.W. Bush. They had the switch to be on Reagan's ticket. So this has been a long Republican trick to try to not lose the women folk, which is we'll fucking have our men stand up here and tell you how you're going to Handmaid's Tale it like no motherfucking, like you can't even believe. We're going to make you wear more than that diaper on your head. We're going to probably go for fucking covering the face. There's a point in the Handmaid's Tale where they actually, one asshole stapled women's mouths shut We'll do that to you. We're going to do that whole thing. But my wife is pro-choice, so it should be fine. And JD Vance, look, I would okay. I'm jumping from topic to topic here, and I really should try to stick with one of them because I want to talk about all of these. So first, I'll finish off with JD Vance. I thought the debate came out pretty close. I think Walz was a little nervous at first. I don't think it's his best forum. He is a freewheeling, speech-giving, whatever. But he got so much better as time went on. And in the end, the two big factors were our news media fucking sucks. And I'm going to be making this, if you haven't seen the stuff I do, is going to be a big part of what I do in the coming days, months, years, that banning disinformation in a way that we do not consider it First Amendment and equal to information. And actually, I was so proud that Walz brought that up, that hate speech and whatever, like the United Kingdom, Canada. I'm sorry, we need to have a reckoning with what our First Amendment covers. It certainly doesn't cover Russian bots, but it also doesn't cover American threats. And we are allowing, the reason why he brought up censorship, Elon Musk brings up censorship. Every time they bring up censorship, your response should be, I get it. You can't win without the help of Russian bots and people making up lies and conspiracies. That's what the censorship is only about that. They know that if there's truth out there, if they can't eradicate all truth so people don't know where the truth is, they'll lose. Okay, so but in any case, overall, Walz I thought was great. And then that final line, that final thing he did to Mr. Slick Beardy Boy. By the way, did you see one of the Republican Congressman Collins chiseled his face and put up a picture of a more handsome JD Vance? So speaking of masturbation, Collins may need some help, folks. Send some lube over to that office ASAP. Okay, I know I'm getting
baby
into
oil.
to
Maybe
Tony.
Diddy's baby oil. I don't know.
They have extra supplies of that. I'm getting into Tony into Tony's territory quickly here. I better back up.
Yeah, you better be easy. The first live stream, you don't want to get banned. The first live stream.
That's a good
maybe
point.
It was a mistake having me on the first live stream. Then I don't know.
Yeah, some could argue that, sure, but maybe that shows my love for you. It is an unspoken love. No, dude. After all of the live streams you've had me on, where I've learned how to do this, I'd have nobody else on. Sylvia P, for your donation. You are awesome. Am I supposed to call that a donation? What's the right terminology?
Super chat. It's a stupid chat. A stupid chat.
Sylvia, for your super chat. No, that's insulting. Your super chat. Thank you. Seriously, I appreciate that.
It's stupid that you give the chat in the chatty chat.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony's off on the fucking drugs again. All right. But dude, I know you're in Ozark, but do you have to live out the plot of the fucking TV show?
Well, I mean, I'm actually off my drugs. I didn't take my pseudoephedrine this morning. I'm trying to wean myself off that because that shit kind of makes me loopy. So I'm trying to wean myself. So it might be the lack of. That might be the problem.
Holy
I'm
shit.
Just saying.
Jim Williams gifted 5.
Yeah, they're gifting memberships. They're gifting memberships Jim, in there. They're doing
awesome.
super chats.
I don't know. So you're gifting 5. I don't know if that means I choose who they are or people just jump at them, but maybe we'll hold a raffle.
Yeah, you'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'll figure all this shit out. But I want to me, guys, and this was really important, and I had this in my notes. I want a lot of this to be, about the interaction here, because I get to do these 5-minute clips, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. I do shorts. I go on other folks' shows that are great. But to me, what I love about this, and you can think this. Even when I say it, I feel like people are like, "Oh, he's just full of shit." But I'm a people person. I like people. I like meeting people. I like knowing what their story is. I want to know, what makes you tick, why you've gotten involved, who you are, how you're out there fighting for what's right. And if you're fighting for what's wrong, fuck you, and I'll kick you out. But as long as you're out there doing the right stuff, I really do. I want to know who you are and what it is you're doing, because that's to me a big part of this is getting to know folks. So in any case,
what they're saying in the chat is that it is all random. YouTube just kind of gives them out randomly. So you don't have to do you don't have to do a goddamn thing but come here and talk. That's all you got to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, those are the showing up places is something I'm mostly good at. Talking is something you can't stop me from doing. So
I know. I know.
The fact that from your show, we were just like, would this guy shut the
Hey,
fuck
shut
up
the
and let me
fuck up,
finish
man.
my point? I was making a point. I mean, I heard it. I saw it in your mouth. It's kind of like the way Kamala almost said motherfucker.
Right.
Like I saw you. You're like, will you just shut the fuck up, you goddamn Cliff? Will you?
On your very first stream, you turned me into an anti-Semite. That's great. That's fantastic.
I did. He was going to say it, guys. I warned you. It was there. He was going to say it. I kid because I love.
No, what? Here's what I'll say, because I want to talk about Melania before I leave, but I do want to tell the audience that Cliff genuinely does believe in his democracy. He believes in the institutions of the democracy. It's the reason why I have him on the show, because if I'm going to have someone on the show, I want someone who's going to actually show that the institution of democracy are important. Now, me and Cliff don't agree on every single thing. Now, we definitely do not agree on.
Thank you, Jason Grissom, for the nice contribution. Go ahead.
Right. We don't agree.
Super chat.
Right,
hey, the super chat. I'm getting better. Go ahead.
The super chat. He got the super chat. But here's the thing: is that Cliff believes in those institutions of democracy. It's the reason why I think we need to connect more on what he's saying, and I think Cliff wanting to connect with you, the audience, in that effort to solidify that, hey, there's a lot of people out there that are like-minded. There's a lot of people that are attracted to this new brand of liberalism that is not the tolerant left. We're not going to tolerate intolerance anymore. We are going to do it with mockery, with fuckery, and we are going to make sure that the MAGA fascists are exposed and that we defeat them.
And I've been fighting this fight again as long as I've watched you do this, Tony, and I don't know how long that is. You can tell folks, or I'm sure 2/3 or more of these folks here are yours, so they probably know. But again, we joked about, because Cleta Mitchell was mentioned. Oh shit, Cliff is no Texas Paul. All right, you want to talk smack like that? I don't really care. That's cool. I'm no Texas Paul. He's a talented dude.
I mean,
you're
probably going to have a lot. Well, you're probably going to have a lot less hot mic farts than Texas Paul. So don't worry.
Okay, well, that's good. See, I'll fart less than him, so there's positives. But you also I am who I am, and you can like me or not like me, and I'm pretty confident in that. So say what you will. Seriously, take your shots or say nice things or anything in between. But, and maybe this is the part where I say a little bit about myself, and I'll say it quickly. Look, I got involved in this stuff out of college, which was the mid to late 90s. I worked on Bill Clinton's reelection in 96. We won it big. I played a very small role in that. I don't like to play that I played a bigger role, or I played the bigger role, and I see somebody putting in here about how Cliff had worked put that I'm not going to refer to myself in the third person. Diddy here worked on
oh my God.
I worked on my biggest client after I did some races. I ended up working for Michael Bloomberg's Every Town for Gun Safety when they were known as Mayors Against Illegal Guns. And I can't explain to you guys, and this is what I'm really proud of, because at that point in time, if you think it's bad now, 2/3 of the Democratic caucus was owned by the NRA. We had nothing. Democrats ran from the issue. There was this bullshit myth that Al Gore had lost in 2000 because of the gun issue, when if he had won his home state, or if they hadn't stolen Florida, or if Joe Lieberman hadn't been the worst running mate ever, there's a million different ways Al Gore wins in 2000. Okay. And the Supreme Court, of course, eventually stole it and shut down voting if they continued that voting. Thank you, Brenda Triplett. I appreciate the super chat. If they had not shut it down. But from there, I can't explain to you what we did, because, again, we still have so many more gun deaths than most democracies. But we not only went out there and pushed and got Democrats as a party to support this issue. We got, after Newtown, we switched people who had been staunch. Tim Walz was one of them and admitted it. Tim Walz was one of them. Bob Casey, he's running for re-election, who you absolutely should get behind in Pennsylvania, U.S. Senator. They switched their positions. They were like, this is horrifying, and we can no longer be here. And some of them I met with, and it was heartfelt. And you could see it because they had children, young children, like I did. I had a kindergartner who could have been in that Newtown class if we lived in Connecticut. I mean, so I worked on the issue. What I did is I created, back then it would be like the Bloomberg, not to insult them, but the folks on the campaign would be like, why don't we try to get something in the Indianapolis Star or the Wyoming, whatever the fuck paper they have in Wyoming? I have no idea. Do they have a paper there? Probably. Okay, so
I think they have a newspaper in Wyoming. Yeah,
they probably do. But my response was, "Don't leave yet, Tony. Fuck you. You're staying." My response, very much, Tim Williams. I know you. I love you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. By the way, everybody should look up Tim Williams, who's one of the best illustrators I've ever seen. He's on Twitter. You should find him. He's done it for. He's illustrated done them for newspapers, all sorts of articles, all sorts of people buy his art. He's fantastic. Okay, so what I did was I was like, hey guys, I got this great idea. They have this new thing called the Huffington Post and some of these other places online. I've got connections. We can get articles published there, and then we share it on this new thing called Facebook. Thank you, Carol Pack, for the super chat. And then they'll end up in the Indianapolis Star and the Wyoming, whatever the fuck the newspaper is anyhow, because those places look to the Huffington Post. So I kind of taught them how to do things. And I was there with them for 5 years as they were by far my lead client I mostly worked on. And then when I left that, I started, a broader PR and advertising firm. I won't go into everything. I wrote ads for Joe Biden in 2020. I feel like we were a part of pushing him in the direction that now Kamala and the Eric Swalwells and Jasmine Crockett's and others have fully embraced. So as I said, I've been fighting this fight to be aggressive for years. If you look back at the Cleta Mitchell or some of those few other debates that are still out there from 2006, 2007, I got banned from MSNBC for a few years because they said I was being too mean because Democrats weren't supposed to do that. Carolyn Phelps, thanks for the donation too, or the super chat. God, I will get this right. And then, after I wrote ads for Biden is when I decided, I started this huge email fundraising list. We've already raised $400,000 for Kamala. We've raised money for a lot of other Democrats who need to win. And then I decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I'd been the paid person when I was in DC by Sinclair Broadcast Network. And I can't tell you how much fun that was. It was me against two right-wing assholes, the host and somebody on the other side. I took that as a challenge because right-wingers are kind of dumb. So if you could put two of them together.
Wait, whoa, kinda dumb?
Very, very. So could I beat two of them together? And the answer was, yeah, I could fucking smoke them. I'm sorry if that sounds, but that was the only place that ever even paid me. I got screen tested by CNN, but they ended up not doing it. And I went on MSNBC and Fox and all that shit a lot. So because I did all of that, I thought to myself, once this became available and I started looking at friends who were starting YouTube channels, I'm like, I've got this great email business. I've still got a few PR clients. Thank you, JD Christie. And thank you, Steve Lubo. And Steve's an old friend, and I pronounce his name, even though he said Go Sox. He's a Red Sox fan. I'll let him get away with that. He brought up Cleta Mitchell, which is good. And I pronounce his last name the French way, and that may be wrong, but I don't care, Steve. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Pam J. Also, I'm going to get on Twitch as well. Sylvia, I see that. Tony's going to give me some advice there. We just started on Twitter, and we wanted to make it easy the first week.
Oh, yeah, you're on Twitter right now, aren't you? I forgot about that. You're broadcasting live.
Hi, Elon. You're really dumb, motherfucker. Okay, so in any case, I'm here basically. I felt like this is something that theoretically I have a talent at. I can connect with people through a screen. I saw that now I didn't need those folks anymore. Once I moved out to Cincinnati, where my wife is from, to raise our kids, as you can guess, those goddamn elitists on the coast. As JD Vance says, even though he lived in San Francisco and went to Yale and only came back here to run for the Senate. But they, I was on Lawrence O'Donnell's show, Ronan Farrow's old show, some others. They didn't want to pay for the satellite fee. So until Zoom became a thing, really after COVID, they weren't having people on it. And so I started thinking about how I could do something like this. And you all are fucking awesome because I started this thing and I was doing it half-assed at first, like once a week or something, twice a week. And only the last 12 to sort of 15 months would I say I've taken it seriously. And not even I finally started doing at least 2 longer videos a day, more shorts. And we're at approaching 74,000 right now, which is due to all of you. And Tony's help has been instrumental. And I'm hoping, 100,000 by election day, guys. Let's get there. Thank you, Alto Eager, for the super chat. So Okay, that's my story. That's why I'm here, because I feel like I have been both the ultimate insider. I've been on the email chains that top Biden members were on back in 2020, and Bloomberg people and people like that. And I've been an outsider, which is, I have this problem, which is I can't keep my mouth shut when I feel a certain way. It's why I got fired working for one or two members of, one or two campaigns. Because if I think candidates are being stupid, I can't. That's why the ass kissing to Donald Trump is just amazing to me. I can't kiss someone's ass and tell them I think. I can do it respectfully and say, respectfully, I don't think what you're doing is right. But I can't sit there and not say what I think. I'm not an appendage of somebody else, right? I have my own. Thank you, Bonnie Thompson. So I started, before even as a creator here, I went on people's shows and I was critical that Democrats were not being tough enough, or not going on offense, or not controlling the narrative, all the things we now see much more of. And I had a column at the Daily Beast. By the way, I'll promote it here. I'm going to have a video coming out for all of you. I went back and looked at old archival maybe is a little too far back, but 2016, I was on a show on NPR. And there was a reporter on there, Sam Tannenhouse from Bloomberg, and there was this author on there named J.D. Vance. And I found a few things in the transcript he said about Trump that aren't even out there yet. And I will be releasing a video today. He said one very specific thing that I don't think has been repeated anywhere else. So I was going on those kinds of shows and I was being critical. And they still hired me in 2020 and thought, I guess my ad writing was good enough. NARAL still hired me, and I ended up doing research for Elise Hogue, the then president, which helped her she wrote a book based on some of that. So yes, I did but I've sort of skirted that line, insider and outsider. If you've read my Twitter feed, you know that there are a lot of 4-letter words. There are a lot of very nasty things that I say to people I don't like, on the Republican side mostly, but also if you're Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, or even somebody whose politics I agree with, who's screwing the party over. And so
I feel left out. You're not sending curse words. You're not adding me with curse words. What the hell?
Fuck yourself. So I'm just kidding. So
there we go. That's the spirit. That's what I'm talking about.
So, okay, here's the fucking way it goes. All right, I'm gonna talk like a New Yorker for a second. I can fucking tell you the insider shit. I got in a fight in the green room with Kellyanne Conway. She's kind of a word that rhymes with witch, but I can't say it. I also I got in an argument with the former governor of Oklahoma, Republican, when I was getting on TV on Fox right after him. That's right, I did. I used to go on Fox just to be an asshole to all of them. Same with Sean Hannity banned me once for a couple years. I think it was forever. Combs was on.
I'm surprised that Sean Hannity's name didn't appear in this 165-page documents. Are you?
I would have thought that too, actually. Yes,
Tucker Carlson's name was mentioned, but I didn't find Sean Hannity at all in the list of people. That's I don't know.
That is interesting. Mark Farley, thank you, and thank you for calling us both awesome. Tony's kind of questionable, but it was nice of you, and thank you for the comment in the live stream. Teresa, I see when it just says new member, I don't really know what to say. So Teresa Washington, thank you for being a new member. I think that means something like
they joined as a member to your YouTube.
You're a member, right? Like you're awesome.
And you get the little curly Q thing there.
Right.
I want to say.
I want to get back to some of the stuff that.
Because I'm going to let you get back to some of the stuff because I'm going to head out of here.
Fuck you. You're staying.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No. You've been great. Thank you for staying for a bit. It's
and I'll come join you the next few weeks as you do this because I think your plan is to do this like every Thursday after my show. So we'll.
I do have to say the only, of course, in my life, the only exception is. It's our fall break for our kids next week, and I may be traveling to New York. So I have to see when I'm traveling. I mean, I would just do it from there if that's what I have to do.
Yeah, just do it from your phone. Just do it from your phone. You can talk to the people.
But basically, folks, you should know this is going to be an every Thursday thing, 2 to 2:45 or 3. And then if it goes well, like this so far, so many of you awesome people being here, we can keep that going. I'll start doing it. I'll start adding days, but I want to first get the Thursday right before, anything else that I do. But okay, so we finished off on, I've told you a little bit about my background and how I can kind of give you insider and outsider perspectives. The reason I'm doing this, again, I told you why that was similar because, I've always been I've always felt natural on the screen. Enjoy doing this kind of stuff. Feel like my messaging, I can reach people. And even if it's not reaching swing voters, like I know I'm not here, hopefully I'm bucking you guys up. I'm giving you sort of the strength to say, fuck yeah, we're going to go out and vote. We're going to go out and knock on doors. We're going to make calls. We're going to make donations. If I come across some asshole right winger on Twitter, I'm going to let him have it. Like, you understand, every little thing you do matters. Okay. Everything. So that's part of this to me, is to keep everybody excited about the project. But the other big thing besides the debate, besides the fact that a poll just came out in Wisconsin, and I never look at any one poll, but this one had Kamala over 50%. Remember, I'm also going to teach you all, because I worked in polling, how to not believe what all these fake pollsters who work for news stations. What's up?
I got the breaking news, and I know this probably isn't exactly
Trump's in jail.
We're getting closer to that. Breaking news.
No. Breaking news on my show is a good thing.
Yeah, Republican Colorado County Clerk Tina Peters, who I mentioned on my show after you got off. She's the one who was charged with, found guilty of felonies for actual election interference. And Alex Cole writes here on Twitter. He says, "Who is a hero to election conspiratist? Just was sentenced to 9 years in prison for leading a data breach scheme inspired by Donald Trump's false claims for voter fraud. Some thought that she would only get probation. The judge has given her a 9-year prison sentence." Folks, if this is any kind of indication of how this is going to go,
for Donald Trump.
No, because this was Tina Peters participated in this scheme of a data breach to try to overturn the election in Colorado, or at least skew the election in Colorado. Tina Peters did not commit a violent crime. This is a crime of election fraud. And she's receiving 9 years, folks. This is big when you talk about the indictments in Arizona and Michigan and Georgia. And then, of course, Donald Trump's indictment for the January 6th Cheeto Dust kangaroo coup attempt in Washington.
All the stuff that's been going on lately, from the material, what was released yesterday, to these things are sending kind of a message, I think.
Right.
That the legal system, while in parts of it took too long, and I've been critical of Merrick Garland, and I have largely because I do think other congressional members, I mean, you take Scott Perry's phone, what have you been doing with that, right? You confiscate his phone. I mean, the guy was part of their group. He had to be on calls with Meadows and other people and other members of Congress. So I just wanted to, but you know what? We're going to take a successful moment and say, this is terrific right now. And, we're moving things forward. So, look, the key thing I want to say overall, where are we? 233? And we can get to that, which is the symbolic importance today of the fact, and this is a huge Kamala win, that Kamala Harris is campaigning. I never remember how it's pronounced, so I apologize to you Wisconsinites if it's Ripon or Ripon, Wisconsin. I know that I studied it in my history background, 1854. That is the date that the Republican Party was founded, because the Whigs got together with some disaffected Democrats. They weren't being successful in opposing slavery being spread to the West. And they wanted to make sure that there was a party that stood up for, and their eventual goal, to end slavery. And a party that stood up for freedom, that stood up for equality in the senses of the time. I'm not saying they're where we are today. But just think of this for a second, okay? This is where the Republican Party was founded, on what was the most basic principle of equality of their time. Wow, thank you for the $20, John Ettinger. That is really kind of you as a super chat. And this was such an important moment in our history, the founding of the Republican Party. There obviously gave Lincoln a vehicle eventually, but the key is that what you have today, and this is brilliantly planned. I'll give you the strategy behind it too. You have two women. One of those women is probably got one of the biggest names still in Republican politics. Her dad was vice president, secretary of defense, congressman. Darth Vader shoots people in the face. He's earned it, that guy. And I think he's had at least 4 other people's hearts in him at different times. Okay. But Liz Cheney also had risen up to leadership, aspired to be, aspired to be president or something of that nature. I'm not turning her into a hero or heroine, if you will.
Well, we may disagree on that.
I am saying that at this moment, again, the book that I would quote to you when we have these disagreements, Tony, by Zyblatt and, God damn it, I'm forgetting the second guy's name, but the two that wrote How Democracies Die. And again, they pointed out that in countries that had successfully fought off either a Stalinist from the left totalitarian movement or a fascist, Mussolini, Hitler-esque movement from the right, or where everybody else put aside their differences and got together and fought them. And
well,
so
I want to say real quick to that point, because I'm going to go after I give you this bit of news too, because I was just listening while you were talking. I was listening to you and the judge's where he was sentencing Tina Peters. He said the judge called her a charlatan and a danger to democracy. So I want folks to understand that and like you said before, it feels like accountability has been slow. But when accountability reaches you, it is heavy. And today is heavy on Tina Peters, and it is heavy probably on Donald Trump's mind today as well. And it is the reason why a lot of Republicans like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, Paul Ryan, and others may not be giving full-throated endorsements and saying that they're going to vote, but they are clearly looking the other direction to the future of what could be a Republican Party, even though I believe that it's dead. What could be the future of the Republican Party without Trump? And today, the judge made sure to let Tina Peters know, even though how slow accountability has been for her, how heavy that weight is.
That it finds you. I would love for you to just give one more comment before you leave, just because it's based on this principle. So to me, here you have it in the birthplace of the Republican Party in Wisconsin. Don't let it be lost on you. It's Wisconsin, guys, swing state. And that's why I brought up that poll earlier. And there hasn't been one that's shown Kamala behind there. Again, I don't trust the network pollsters because they do things purposely that are wrong. Like they'll release the poll the day after a debate when anybody who knows this stuff knows that you have to wait for a week or two of saturation coverage before you really know how it shakes out. People watching and rewatching clips, sharing them, talking about it with colleagues and family. Okay. And so, but now I look at the preponderance of evidence and I've seen a number of polls and they all have Kamala up there. And one or two have been as big as the 4 points. It's a huge thing. So they're in Wisconsin. So they're getting a media hit in Wisconsin. They're getting a media hit on what, in a way, Liz Cheney is transferring the mantle over of the Republican Party as the party of equality, the party that fought for the rule of law back then and opposed a secessionist movement to just not to ignore the federal government and fight back. She's handing that mantle over to not just the first, Black South Asian female vice president, but the first Black South Asian female presidential candidate, and almost definitively, in my mind, if we do this right, president. Okay, and I can't tell you how important that is symbolically to do that, because these guys love to call themselves the party of Lincoln and whatever. They're the party of Jefferson Davis. Jim Williams, is that the same guy who did it before? 5 more memberships?
Yep.
My Lord, Jim.
That's Jim.
You're terrific.
Jim's a great guy.
Terrific person.
Jim is a good guy. Jim is great.
So I want to get your comment on that. If you think I'm being too Pollyannish, if you think I'm being too, I'm getting caught up in the history of it or whatever, but I do feel like that there's the little side benefits of it's in Wisconsin, a swing state and all that, but I do feel like there's a very important symbolic kind of.
I think there probably is historical symbolism there, and I also believe that it is good that Liz. As much as I'm not a Liz Cheney fan, and especially not a Dick Cheney fan, I do believe it is important not for Liz Cheney just to say that she's not going to vote for Trump, but also it's important for her to say that she is going to vote for Kamala Harris, and not only that, she's going to stand on stage.
Thanks for joining, Owen. Keep going.
She's going to stand on stage to campaign, and that is the thing that I think when we kind of cross paths with Mitt Romney, if we go back to him a bit, Mitt Romney's not going to stand on stage and campaign for Kamala. He's not going to do that. He's not going to say he's going to vote. Right. He's not going to say he's going to vote for her. But I mean, here's the thing about Wisconsin and Minnesota. I think Wisconsin and Minnesota, Kamala Harris made a big strategic move in one of her very first decisions as the candidate for president of the United States, showing that she knows how to make decisions. And she selected Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as her running mate. And that really put a blue wall with Minnesota and Wisconsin, because so goes Minnesota and Wisconsin is the reason why, if you believe polls, which I kind of think they're bullshit.
Thank you, Yanni Chambers, and thank you, Jimmy Jims. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But I believe that it is possible that with Wisconsin and Minnesota can come Iowa in Kamala's column.
Well, and it's important. So you bring up an important point, and you know, if you want to leave before or you want to hang for it, thank you, Alien Fan. Cool. Which is this all isn't just about states; it's about media markets. So a classic example being, I saw my friend in the comments before. I'm hoping he's still here. You all should listen. If you're anywhere actually, you can listen in Chicago, Seattle. If you're in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and you can go online and do it. My good friend, Matt McNeil, I'm hoping to get you guys together, Tony, who's just a fantastic radio host.
Yeah,
should be a national radio host. And if our side had the money their side had, it would be
easy. Is it like a FCC regulated show? Man, I cannot curse. It is a thing I can do. You cannot
curse. It's SEC regulated.
I mean, I can give commentary without curse words. It's not as cool.
Times. Matt surprised me. He's gotten a little saucy here and there.
Oh, really? Well, hey, maybe we get along.
And what you learn from that is he reaches a bunch of Wisconsin markets. So when you're pointing out that the Tim Walz pick was not just about Minnesota, which was a state that leans our way strong enough that if we were in real trouble there, then I'd be worried about everything. But it put away Minnesota, and it also it definitively helped in Wisconsin because they share media markets, and Walz is so well known, and he was so successful, so likable, and so successful in passing a ridiculous. It's what I'm hoping for the federal government. If we can hold the Senate, take the House, whatever, look at the bills he passed. There are like 50 of them. He addressed assault weapons. He addressed background checks. He addressed abortion rights. He addressed climate change. He addressed LGBTQ rights. He gave
kids
unions.
school lunch.
Exactly.
Now, I will say that I would imagine that Iowa is very jealous of Minnesota. They're very jealous, and that is why they would consider.
Iowa's only 4 points down, so that could. Right. You're right. That could affect. People forget.
Can you imagine if Kamala Harris wins Iowa on election night? Can you imagine?
Well, then we're gonna crush them. Then I'm hoping. Do you see the poll that only had her down? Was it 3 points here a week ago?
In Ohio? Oh, I think, and we've talked about this before in private, I believe, maybe in public, but I think this is going to be the first time in recent history, if not ever in American history, possibly. I think it's actually ever in American history where the vice president and the president of the United States on the ticket, this being the Republican ticket, will lose their home states, which is a very, very big sign that they are very unliked, even in their home states. And Donald Trump is not going to lose just one home state. It is possible for him to lose 2 home states. We are very
close there, too. It's a 2-point race. And I want to, and everybody forgets that how petty so many of these people are. And everybody includes me sometimes. So I'm not like attacking other folks. Just remember this, everybody. Okay. Ron DeSantis hates 2 people like with the passion of 1,000 suns, Donald Trump and Rick Scott. That's all I'm going to say. And they are both on the ballot, and they both could lose. So before you think that it doesn't change that Ron DeSantis is a piece of shit. Before you think, though, he's going to go all out, to do whatever he can for those 2, keep in mind what we're talking about. Keep in mind that if he wants to run in 28, and if Trump's, crazy cholesterol-filled ticker is still beating at that point, he may say he's not going to run now, he'll fucking run.
Well,
and
and Donald Trump ruined Ron DeSantis' career.
He did.
It is the one thing that Donald Trump did good for this country was ruin Ron DeSantis. I mean, that is, yes. I can say it is one good thing Donald Trump did was ruin Ron DeSantis. So thank you for that. I guess I don't know.
Thank you for the Tim Smith $9.99 who makes a statement here. In Cleveland, Ohio. I need to click on. Yeah, I need to click on these things.
Yeah, see, and they look at they come up on the screen.
Here's the deal, guys. You're not allowed to say this out loud, but you know what? I don't care. I say it out loud. The fact of the matter is that through gerrymander and voter suppression, they took a state that was a swing state that yes is not a complete swing state. It leans Republican about 2 to 3 points, and they turned it into a lean 7 or 8 Republican state. That's how they did it. We have a ballot measure for anybody who's in Ohio. Issue 1, vote yes. Don't let them lie to you. They will undo their gerrymandering, won't make it illegal. We showed what we could do on abortion rights, right? That is on the ballot this time, so that should get you out there voting. Sherrod Brown is still up by 4 or 5, but keep supporting him and whatever. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a purple state. I just want to start now because this is a state has a very specific set of circumstances. There's the 3 C's, as we call them: Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, and their suburbs. There's a few college towns, and then there's some medium-sized cities, Toledo and Akron, whatever. And then there's the rural areas. And they had us, young people were leaving. But now some young folks are coming back, and our population grew for the first time in about 30 years. Cincinnati's growing, Columbus is growing, and they're growing with people coming for jobs, Procter & Gamble, right? Like, the Ohio State in Columbus. And guess who's dying off because of the fact that they didn't get vaccinated? They love having 14 guns in their house. They love eating like fucking cheese grits like it's a food group. They love working in coal mines and they smoke like fucking chimneys. They do opioids. They do. I mean, I'm sorry. Like
these are my kind of people. These are my kind of people.
Oh wait, you left. Where'd you go?
Who? Me?
Yeah, I don't see you on my screen.
I don't know. I'm here.
Well, what the fuck? Did I do something wrong?
I don't know what you did.
Oh, God damn it. Tony is there in spirit. I don't know what the deal is.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Everyone sees. I'm still here.
Do I hit cancel under this? I don't know how to stop putting stuff up on the screen is the issue.
Oh, just click just click kill the comment. Kill last comment.
Kill last comment.
I mean, there's or click the comment itself.
Okay, there's a cancel below it, but I worry that's going to cancel the whole live stream. Cancel it. Push cancel. Do it. All right, it worked.
Live free.
That's right, baby. That's why I'm a New Hampshire guy. Okay, so what I'm saying is, for those interested in Ohio, is that those populations are dying off in rural areas. They're not being replenished, and the 3 C's are growing, and we're undoing gerrymandering. So if we can hold, if Sherrod Brown especially wins this time, and we either win or come within 2 points, but I think I'm going to go with my friend here. I think we're going to win this one, especially with gerrymandering on the ballot. I think then you're looking at this will be a legit swing state again. It may lean a point or 2, maybe even 3 Republican, but that's fine. It's a swing state. To get back to where we were with Wisconsin. So you made your comment, yeah. So you think there's some historical significance there. I think 2 women who are so accomplished, and again, that's not me arguing that, what's her face is the be all and end all, right? I'm not sitting here. I'm laughing at a text I got from Tony. Okay, I'm not saying that that Liz Cheney's accomplishments are all ones that I would like her to have. I'm just saying that there are 2 women with very big names. I see Tony. I'm going to put that up on the screen because I do too.
Hi.
And it's a matter of the fact that they're going to, that this will get a lot of press there, and they go from there. Now, what I want to do also is switch over because Lincoln gave this great speech, and this is where I'm going to let Tony go. In Cooper Union, don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and fucking bore you with a long speech, but there's passages. There's 3 or 4 for a couple line passages in this speech. Oh, I'm international. Thank you, NC Thorne. I lived in England and France, so tell mes amis, on doit écouter du moi maintenant. Okay,
Oh, Jesus
So-
Christ.
So, the thing is that he predicted all of this because it will show you how the secessionist South is a direct lineage. He literally brought up a part that he could have just named owning the libs, because he brought up that that's what they were doing, that they were, that, you know, and I can read you the passage, but he also criticized a corrupted and split Supreme Court on the Dred Scott decision for making an anti-constitutional decision. Does that seem like that's something that maybe resembles things? Everything that we're talking about now, with this movement of people who think they can do whatever they want, but also make us tell them that they're wonderful for doing it, and hurt people and have us just say, okay, it's been there. And it's what Lincoln talked about. Sadly, we won that war and we lost the peace afterwards. Because again, once Ulysses S. Grant was gone, who was an ass kicker, and by the way, married into my wife's family. So we're not direct relation, but married in. You know, and they dismissed him and they called him a drunk and all this stuff, which, by the way, being a drunk's a good thing. I just want to get that off. But he actually was, the reason he was attacked by the historians at the time is that he was more progressive on race than virtually anybody else speaking out loud.
You know what word they would use back then? They would use the word radical. They would say you're radical.
Yes. He was a radical Republican. Radical. Forced, if we had had presidents after that like him, we'd be a different country now, because Jim Crow would not have happened, certainly not in the same way it did. And that's just that's horrifying and upsetting, and you know, I mean, it's gotten us to where we are. But if you want to go now, Tony, I will. Folks, my plan here is probably to do another 10 to 15 minutes. You know, first one and all.
That puts you at an hour. Your first one, you're at an hour already. See, I told you this. Oh. He was like, oh, I think I'll do 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, 30, 40. You'll get to an hour.
Thank you, Gregory, for the $9.99. That was very kind of you. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to actually shut myself up because I've got a kid I have to pick up from school at 3:30.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say that I'm glad you're doing live streams now. And the reason why I'm glad you're doing live streams is because some of that history that you can bring to it, but also the experience that you have inside of our political discourse for the 2-3 decades that you've been involved in it. I've been paying attention for a very long time to politics in the United States. Since I was about 14 years old is when I was paying attention to it. So, which
I think was in 2016.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. But the point that I want the audience to hear here is that Cliff brings a unique perspective. And the reason why is because he knows all these characters that are working in the background. And he also knows how it works in the background. That's probably the most important part when you go to get commentary from someone. When you're getting commentary from someone who is just watching the news and repeating what they say and don't really understand the process of how things work and really how it's working behind the scenes, and understanding that there are reasons why things are going to happen the way they're going to happen because of those things happening behind the screen that you don't see. I think it's very important. He'll bring that unique perspective, and I think you should join him every Thursday on his live stream. Was that good enough?
Plus,
was that
somebody can jump in the comments like they just did here. Who are you? Who did that? And ask me in French if I'm going to have sex with JD Vance tonight.
How do you say? Am I going to have sex with a couch in French? How do you say that?
Well,
I love couches. Couches are so good.
Coucher, which is to sleep with in French.
Oh, okay.
There's other ways of saying it that are
a little more vulgar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Cliff is very tech savvy. I'm really not. Very nice.
He can speak French. He can speak French, but he can't work a computer. He can't work a fucking computer.
Listen, Tony helped me get this whole thing set up. I can speak the fuck out of French. I have a sometimes near-ish photographic memory for history. Have a car, like have a simple problem, and like I'm lost and don't know what the fuck to do. I'm a classic East Coaster, right? Any technology, I'm an imbecile. I'm shocked they didn't blow up the chemistry lab in high school, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
I knew you could get this live stream going, and I knew because it's only a few pushes of the button. And now I'm hoping when I leave that you figure out how to end it. See you, Cliff. Bye-bye.
All right, one more thing, though.
I was gonna.
No, I promise. This really is one more thing.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. Seriously,
Oh, okay.
Thank you, because folks, you should know that Tony played a big role. I was being a wimp and was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I'm not scared at all of getting on a screen and speaking to a million people. I'm a weirdo who's scared of, like, I may push the wrong button. And Tony helped me out with all of this stuff, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. So you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will go on a little bit longer, folks, and then we'll figure it out. If this works well enough, I may do a Thursday next week and add a day or two. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But for now, you're great, Tony. You guys are awesome.
I know. I'm the best. No, I'm serious. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm going to take all the credit. Everything that you see here. No, I'm just kidding. All I did was show Cliff what buttons to push and how to push them. And the thing is that we've got to have more voices out there. And it's more important than just my microphone or Cliff's microphone, because it's only 2 microphones that we have. You have thousands of them. So get registered to vote and go use your voice with your ballot and your vote in November, because we are Trump and MAGA's jury. See you later. Bye.
Bye, Tony. You can go this time.
All right.
Before I get back to what I was saying, Tony does kick so much ass, as you just said, my friend. Yeah, I lost it. I like to give people credit when they do it. Rob Law. Thank you. Yes. I'm just going to keep, I think I see Tony up on the screen here because it's fun. But the point he was making, I want to expand upon, which is, guys, like, I don't know if how many of you are my age, younger, older, but remember that it was 530 something votes that cost Al Gore Florida and cost us that election. And in a different timeline, we're in a different world because of it. And the Supreme Court, yes, shut down the counting, but if he hadn't been down 530 something votes, wouldn't have happened. And of course, later on, New York Times did a study, they counted all the votes. He would have won by 15 or 20,000 or some number like that if they'd actually allowed them to finish their counting. There was a congresswoman, I can't think of her name right now, but one of the ones in Iowa, was it last cycle, 2 cycles ago, who won by 6 votes. I mean, I can give you cases like this all day long. What determined the who controlled the Pennsylvania State House, which has made a huge difference in terms of helping the governor there pass legislation, Shapiro, and do good things. It came down to 1 vote. And that's how we had a 1 vote majority, because 1 extra person voted for a Democrat, and we controlled the Pennsylvania State House because of it. I mean, again, so you may say to yourself, oh, well, Cliff and Tony have these platforms and, this and that, but I can't tell you how important it is. I'm not telling you to go start fights with your family or do whatever, but if there are friends of yours on the fence, if there's family members on the fence, if there's colleagues, if there's, you can use your Facebook page, you can use your TikTok. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to have, I haven't done a lot on TikTok. I've got like 1,100, what would you even call them there? TikTokers, subscribers, followers, whatever. I'm not reaching a huge audience there, but I still put a few things up here and there. Not enough. Probably will try to do more. My point is you don't have to have, door to door, like when people, the reason endorsements work is because, and everybody feels like they know celebrities. So celebrity tells you something, but your neighbors or your relatives or your friends are people you actually really know. And if they tell you to do something, there's a good chance you might do it. And if you tell them the same, they trust your opinion. So seek those out who are not so hard-headed in their views. And because this is for all the marbles, guys. We saw what just happened with Helen. Like, climate change ain't going anywhere. School massacres, they're not going anywhere. Women dying from sepsis because they don't have abortion rights, not going anywhere. And I don't even want to get into what Donald Trump could do just because, he has a bad fucking night and is feeling, extremely insecure about his little mushroom penis and decides he's going to blow up the world. So everything you can do, leave it all out in the field. No, if you ever played sports, you want to know that you put every single thing into it, right? That you're exhausted, that you're falling over. That's the way we want to feel here. Like, I'm not getting a ton of sleep right now. But I don't care, because I've got 2 sons and I don't want them growing up in autocracy. They need to grow up in a democracy. So, okay, we've got that done. Now let me go to Lincoln's favorite Cooper Union speech, and I want to see if you see any parallels in there. First, I'll give you the best part, which I know you're not supposed to do because you guys may then ditch me. Be like, who the hell cares what else Cliff has to say? But, and I'm looking at this right now, so I'm not looking. If you're doing super chats and stuff, I'm going to miss it. I apologize in comments, but he's talking about the South and how they have threatened to secede if a Republican is elected president in 1860. See if this sounds familiar. The question recurs, what will satisfy them? Simply this: we must not only let them alone, but we must somehow convince them that we do let them alone. This, we know by experience, is no easy task. We've been so trying to convince them from the very beginning of our organization, but with no success. In other words, they've tried to tell them that they're fighting to stop slavery from spreading to the West at this point. They're not eliminating it completely. They know they don't have the votes. Behind the scenes, Lincoln wants to do this. But here you go. He talks about these natural and apparently adequate means all failing. What will convince them? This is so important, guys. So important. This and only this. Cease to call slavery wrong. Join them in calling it right. And this must be done thoroughly, done in acts as well as in words. Silence will not be tolerated. We must place ourselves validly with them. I could read more, but do you get the point here? We're not people to the right, right? They like fucking Vladimir Putin more than they like Democrats. They like Erdogan more than they like Democrats. They like, what's Mr. Gestapo's name from Orban? Okay. We are their enemy, is how they see it. And if you, so you've seen this before, right? I've said this about Trump. You have to agree with them 100% or whatever, but they are so insecure. They attack us all the time on all the issues they disagree. And even if we say, okay, we're not pushing this issue, whether it's because we don't have popular support or we don't even believe in it, we have to say, no, you're right. There's abortions taking place after the 9th month, which, by the way, they're not taking place in 9th or 8th, or I think you guys know this. Roe versus Wade makes it illegal. That's what we're trying to get back here. A woman has to be dying, and it has to come down to that, or egregious health to the point of where she can't function for a late-term abortion. They're less than 1.3% of the abortions that occur. They're lying motherfuckers on all of this. Nobody just is like, I stubbed my toe. I think I'll get an abortion in the 30 whatever week. Okay. But we have to support it. We have to say, no, guys, you're right. It's a life. No, you guys are right. I know you just said that you care about kids, but you're completely right. If we give them school lunches, man, they'll just get lazy. Why would we feed kids? Empty stomachs are so much better for learning on. Let's just make the doors and windows stronger at school. That's how you'll stop shootings. I mean, I know a lot of them happen in the open air where there's no doors and windows. And I know just the idea of making doors and windows stronger is just about the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. When, as you know, and I've tweeted, this is the most viral tweet I ever put out there. As you know, gun control doesn't work in any other country that's tried it, with the exceptions, of course, of, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, Greece, Japan, South Korea, where else should we go? Spain, Italy, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg. I could go on. Every country that has seriously taken on this issue has lowered their gun violence rate by at least 70%. We have about 6 or 7 laws we could pass. And yes, that would go beyond background checks and to crazy stuff like licensing and registration, like we do with cars, or the way they know your social security number, or the way Republicans right now want to monitor your pregnancies and your menstrual cycle, women. We can't know who has a gun because the government is going to come in and do something or other. Okay, right. Again, they lie about everything. And so Lincoln was saying there, unless we say slavery is fucking awesome, man. Slavery's so cool. Where can we find some more slaves? Unless we do that, we're the enemy. He made another great point. that the split decision in the Dred Scott case was not constitutional. I'm trying to find the passage right here, but he's like, they did not follow the Constitution. They called slaves property when the Constitution made quite clear who people were and what property was. Slaves were not property, they were people. It was a completely split court. Sound familiar? Just the right-wing loons overcoming the normals, the norms on there. And they, in a split decision, in a ridiculous decision, Dred Scott was passed. If I find that passage in here, I will read it to you because it's so important. I should have highlighted it. And again, I will get better at all this stuff as we do more of this. But the point is, he was saying very clearly the Supreme Court doesn't represent us anymore. They're a tyrannical institution. They've been put in place. The South has actually used, as you know, 1/3 of their African-American members. They used that. They counted them slaves so that they would have more electoral votes. They just couldn't vote. Inconvenient, right? And that allowed them to have more say and to appoint Supreme Court justices and on other courts. So you've got, you must support us in all we do or you're the enemy. And you've got the Supreme Court jumping into politics, acting as a political institution, appointed by the right, corrupt, and full of crap. And then a final point I'll make here, again, so familiar, is their threats, many of them, to secede, to take up armed rebellion if Lincoln's elected, which they did. They fired on Fort Sumter. Does any of that sound familiar? To kidnapping plots against Gretchen Whitmer? Other plots that have been broken up against Eric Swalwell, numerous other of our leaders, a few against Biden, of course. The actual attacks, January 6th, when Donald Trump, as we now know from what's come out from Judge Chutkan, actually encouraged, his people encouraged folks to go to the Capitol, beat, spear, kick, stab, shoot, punch, stomp, crush 140 plus Capitol Police because they didn't win. Again, it is the very same ideology. This is why the speech in Ripon, Wisconsin is so important today. They're not the heirs to that. They're the heirs to Jefferson Davis. And if you want to look up a former governor and senator, Bilbao, who was awesome. Who was awful. Bilbo. I believe he was the one in the late 18th, early 19th century. I could be wrong about that, from Mississippi, that area, who thought, again, at that time, that very openly was racist even for that time, and that African Americans were chattel. It's the same stuff. We're fighting the same war. It's updated. I'm not saying things haven't gotten a lot better. They have. But this is, again, like everything you can read. It's his Cooper Union speech at Cooper Union in New York, as given, I think it was 1859. Nope, February 27th, 1860. So it was as he was going for the nomination. But it will strike you when you go in here and you see what liars they are. Also, he makes clear, the slave trade was prohibited after, I believe it was in the Constitution, 1808. No more international slave trade. We could only do it here. It was that federal lands, there could be no slaves. That was also in there. And he makes the point, we're the actual conservatives, Lincoln says. They're the radicals because they're the ones who want to overthrow our existing order to get things that the founders never provided for and to go hog wild, frankly, in the destruction and subjugation of other human beings. Well, guess what? Does that sound familiar to you? When they're making up rights, there's no individual right to a Second Amendment. People laughed at that. Warren Burger, the former Justice of the Supreme Court, was a conservative, by the way. I believe it was put on by Nixon, laughed and said it was a farce. There's no individual right. The right to privacy and the right to abortion rights. Alito quoted a 15th century scholar who was a big time advocate of marital rape. They made quite clear their unending fear of the corruption of money in politics. It's one of the main reasons they moved the capital away from New York to Washington, D.C. They did not want the financial capital and the political capital to be in the same town, right? Obviously didn't have the internet then, airplanes, things of that nature. They wanted to make it tougher. And yet Citizens United in 2010, where they overturned a 100-year-old Montana law, where these guys said they were going to respect precedent, that banned corporate contributions in Montana. And there's so many more, voting rights, unions. They're radicals. That's just the Supreme Court. Look at what these guys want to do with their right of Christian conscience, where they can allow companies to discriminate based on Christianity. There's an absolute direct violation of the First Amendment. They're not trying to conserve anything. They're trying to radically overthrow our government. These little fucking incel dweebs, little group of circle jerks, like JD Vance, are trying to make our lives as miserable as theirs are, because they are miserable, because he can't go order a fucking donut without looking like an idiot. And Donald Trump can't get up on a stage without humping a flag. And some loser in Virginia running against Eugene Vindman had a literal somebody else's family take a picture with him because he doesn't have a family. So he wanted to pretend he had a family to win. Who the fuck does that? It's weird. Mark Robinson posting about being a black Nazi and wanting to own slaves. Yeah, that's where we went, the Republican Party, from being founded on getting rid of slavery to Mark Robinson now wanting to own slaves in their party. The guy wrote about all sorts of disgusting sexual, stuff with his sister-in-law and whatever. They're not going to even go into on a porn site in addition. Weird, guys. Fucking weird. Taking dogs to the gravel pit, hating animals. It's sociopathic, but it's weird, right? I mean, Kevin Roberts is his name. The guy's the head of Project 2025, killed his pit bull. What's her face, from South Dakota, taking the dog to the gravel pit. These are not normal people. Okay? They're not normal. Go to any of these Trump rallies where people are wearing Trump diapers and shit like that. It is not normal. They are weird. They're fascists always are weird because they don't know how to, it's like they have negative EQs. They don't know how to exist in a normal society where we mutually respect each other, where we agree to the sort of John Locke principle of the social contract, which is we give up some of our rights for the responsibilities we have. That's part of a society. And they don't believe they should do that. Nope, don't have to get a vaccine. Nope, I can carry my gun wherever I want. No, they don't give a shit. So this is who we're talking about. Weird, creepy, crazy people. Abraham Lincoln laid it out 160 years ago. How weird, creepy, and crazy. We're so insecure. You have to tell us that slavery is good. You can't just allow us to have it. You have to tell us we're doing the right thing because we don't know if we are. And you have to tell us we're strong and right and that we have all these rights in the South in our states because we feel insecure about it because we're losers. Just like they're fucking losers today. They all need to get on a big couch, except for JD, because he'll hump it, and have a psychiatrist work with them. Because their emotional, psychological issues are what they are taking out on the rest of us. And that, folks, I think, is our wrap for today. I made it an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry if I missed any more recent super chats from folks, because I was reading that stuff from Lincoln. I just thought it was important what we were talking about. Look, guys, I love this. I like going back and forth with people. I'm going to be here every freaking week. I'm going to be taking more and more comments as time goes on. I tried to read some of yours today. I apologize if I didn't read enough of them. But this is going to be an interactive show. I want you on here. I want to know what you think. And that's not, thank you, Bicycle Mike, for your nice super chat. Like, I can get other people's opinions, the hoi polloi, on calls I'll have to be on, and I go on certain shows and do stuff like that. But like, this is where I want people that are fighting the good fight, that believe in this country, that believe in our promise. And I guess I'll end with saying, believe in democracy. Because that's the most important thing. I am a liberal, okay? And I am proudly liberal. But before my liberalism comes my love for democracy, because there can be no liberalism without democracy. There can be nothing without democracy. But without transparency and democracy, all you can have is just corruption, cruelty, incompetence, Trump, that kind of thing. So democracy will always come first, protecting the institutions of it and fixing them, which is why we need to go kick ass, send those two motherfucking aliens, Rick Scott and Ted Cruz, metaphorically or electorally, kick them in their asses and send them flying. Take those 2 seats, hold on to John Tester, who's wonderful. Hold on to Sherrod Brown and have a majority that will get rid of the filibuster and win the House and the presidency. And you will be shocked at the raft of legislation that's been waiting years to get passed that will get passed. We will be the country that we all want to be. We will reach our potential. I'm not saying everything will happen overnight, but the legislation we will put in place will provide that sort of building block for us to get where we need to go. So I don't have a closing surfs up motherfuckers like Tony or fuck them. The closest I can come to is be smart, fight for what you believe in, and do not be like Republicans who have more foreskin than forethought. Thanks again, guys, for being here. And next week we'll figure it out. I'll either be back or if I am away, it'll just be a week and I will be back very soon. You guys are fucking awesome. I am so appreciative that you're here. I'm so appreciative that you've made this work and that honestly, this is a privilege. You're going to give me the privilege to do this. Like, I love you all, really. This is going to be awesome. And we're going to fucking get sick of winning. We're going to win so much. No, seriously, we're going to win. We're going to crush it. And thanks so much. Okay, guys, take care.